When dealing with branch circuit conductors in electrical panels, particularly in residential settings with 20 or 30 amp circuits, the question of whether or not to torque the conductors arises. Many electricians have traditionally relied on the set screws provided by the panel manufacturer, trusting them to adequately secure the conductors. These set screws are designed to perform the job of creating a solid electrical connection. They are often perceived as more robust than some readily available torque screwdrivers, especially the less expensive models. The method for tightening these set screws involves using a screwdriver that properly fits the head of the screw. It's important to apply firm pressure while turning the screwdriver to ensure a tight connection. After reaching what seems like sufficient tightness, it is advisable to give the screw a few more turns to maximize the connection. The terminal screws are generally designed to withstand this extra tightening without damage. However, to be certain of the correct torque specifications, it is always recommended to consult the installation instructions provided with the electrical panel. These instructions typically specify the required tightening torque, often in the range of 35 inch-pounds or 40 inch-pounds. This torque level is primarily intended to overcome friction within the threads of the screw and ensure that it is properly seated in place. Applying this level of torque will not typically damage the screw or the terminal. For added assurance, it is a good practice to recheck the torque of the set screws after a period of a few weeks or months. This allows for any settling or loosening of the connections to be addressed. If access to a torque screwdriver is available, a simple check can be performed, and minor adjustments can be made to bring the torque up to the specified level if needed. The key to achieving a reliable and safe electrical connection lies in proper tightening of the set screws. This involves using the correct screwdriver, applying sufficient pressure, and adhering to the manufacturer's recommended torque specifications. Always prioritize safety and consult the relevant documentation to ensure that all electrical connections are made correctly. Electrical connections need to be properly tightened to ensure electrical safety. Firstly, a loose connection can lead to increased resistance, which in turn generates heat. This heat can damage the conductor, the terminal, and even the surrounding components. Secondly, overheating can also cause the insulation on the wires to melt or degrade, creating a risk of short circuits and electrical fires. Thirdly, a loose connection can result in intermittent power outages or flickering lights. This is because the electrical contact is not consistent and the flow of current is interrupted. Fourthly, loose connections can cause arcing, which is a phenomenon where electricity jumps across the gap in the connection. Arcing generates intense heat and can damage the conductors and terminals. Fifthly, over time, loose connections can corrode due to exposure to moisture and air. This corrosion further reduces the conductivity of the connection and increases the risk of failure. Sixthly, in addition to the safety hazards, loose connections can also lead to equipment malfunction. Appliances and devices may not operate properly if they are not receiving a stable and consistent power supply. Seventhly, to prevent these issues, it is essential to tighten all electrical connections properly during installation and maintenance. This includes tightening screws, nuts, and bolts to the specified torque levels. Eighthly, it is also important to use the correct tools and techniques when making electrical connections. This includes using the right size screwdriver or wrench and ensuring that the conductors are properly stripped and inserted into the terminals. Ninthly, regular inspections of electrical connections can help identify and address any loose connections before they cause problems. This is especially important in areas where there is vibration or movement, which can loosen connections over time. Tenthly, by taking these precautions, it is possible to minimize the risk of loose electrical connections and ensure the safety and reliability of electrical systems. The set screws are designed by the panel manufacturer to securely hold the wires in place and establish a reliable electrical connection. The design and material of these set screws are carefully chosen to withstand the expected electrical loads and environmental conditions. The panel manufacturers conduct extensive testing to ensure that the set screws meet the required safety standards and performance specifications. This testing includes evaluating the mechanical strength of the screws, their resistance to corrosion, and their ability to maintain a tight connection over time. The installation instructions provided with the electrical panel specify the recommended torque values for the set screws. These torque values are determined based on the size and material of the screws, as well as the type and size of the wires being connected. The use of a properly sized screwdriver is essential for tightening the set screws correctly. A screwdriver that is too small may not provide enough leverage, while a screwdriver that is too large may damage the screw head. It is important to apply consistent pressure while turning the screwdriver to ensure that the set screw is tightened evenly. After tightening the set screw, it is a good practice to give it a few extra turns to ensure that it is fully seated. This helps to overcome any initial settling or compression of the wire. However, it is important to avoid over-tightening the screw, as this can damage the threads and reduce the clamping force. The terminal screws are typically made of a durable material that can withstand repeated tightening and loosening. However, it is still important to handle them with care to avoid stripping the threads. If a terminal screw is damaged, it should be replaced with a new one that meets the manufacturer's specifications. Checking the tightening torque in the panel's installation instructions is a crucial step in ensuring a safe and reliable electrical connection. The installation instructions provide detailed information on the recommended torque values for all the screws and fasteners in the panel. These torque values are determined based on the specific design and materials used in the panel. Using a torque screwdriver or wrench allows for precise tightening of the screws to the specified torque values. This ensures that the connection is tight enough to provide a good electrical contact, but not so tight that it damages the screw or the terminal. If a torque screwdriver or wrench is not available, it is still possible to tighten the screws properly by feel. However, it is important to be careful not to over-tighten the screws. Over-tightening can damage the threads and reduce the clamping force. For extra insurance, it is recommended to check the torque of the set screws after a couple of weeks or months. This allows for any settling or loosening of the connections to be addressed. If the torque has decreased, the screws can be tightened to the specified torque values. Regular inspections of electrical connections are essential for maintaining a safe and reliable electrical system. These inspections can help identify any loose connections, damaged components, or other potential problems. The frequency of inspections should be determined based on the age and condition of the electrical system, as well as the environmental conditions. In areas where there is vibration or movement, it is recommended to inspect the connections more frequently. Electrical work can be dangerous, so it is important to take precautions to protect yourself from electrical shock and other hazards. Always turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical components. Wear appropriate safety gear, such as gloves and eye protection. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when installing and maintaining electrical equipment. This will help ensure that the equipment is installed correctly and operates safely. Regularly inspect electrical cords and plugs for damage. Replace any damaged cords or plugs immediately. Avoid overloading electrical circuits. This can cause the circuit breaker to trip or the fuse to blow. Never use extension cords as a permanent wiring solution. If you need more outlets, have a qualified electrician install them. Keep electrical appliances and cords away from water. Water can conduct electricity and create a risk of electrical shock. If you experience any electrical problems, such as flickering lights or sparking outlets, contact a qualified electrician immediately. Do not attempt to fix electrical problems yourself. Proper torque ensures a secure and reliable electrical connection, preventing overheating and potential fire hazards. The installation instructions provide the specific torque values recommended by the manufacturer, which are crucial for optimal performance. Using a torque screwdriver or wrench allows for precise tightening, minimizing the risk of over-tightening or under-tightening the set screws. Consistent torque application ensures uniform pressure distribution, promoting a stable and long-lasting connection. Regular torque checks help identify any loosening over time, allowing for timely adjustments to maintain the integrity of the electrical system. Investing in quality torque tools is essential for achieving accurate and repeatable results. Proper training and adherence to safety guidelines are vital for performing torquing procedures effectively. By prioritizing torquing best practices, electricians can enhance the safety and reliability of electrical installations. Torque screwdrivers and wrenches are specialized tools designed to apply a specific amount of rotational force to fasteners, such as screws and bolts. These tools are essential in situations where precise tightening is required to ensure proper assembly, prevent damage, or maintain safety. Torque screwdrivers are typically used for smaller fasteners, while torque wrenches are used for larger fasteners that require higher torque values. There are several types of torque screwdrivers and wrenches available, each with its own unique features and benefits. Firstly, mechanical torque screwdrivers and wrenches use a spring-loaded mechanism to measure and control the amount of torque applied. These tools are typically less expensive than other types of torque tools, but they may not be as accurate or reliable. Secondly, electronic torque screwdrivers and wrenches use electronic sensors to measure and display the amount of torque applied. These tools are typically more accurate and reliable than mechanical torque tools, but they are also more expensive. Thirdly, hydraulic torque wrenches use hydraulic pressure to apply torque to fasteners. These tools are typically used for very large fasteners that require extremely high torque values. When using a torque screwdriver or wrench, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. This will help to ensure that the fastener is tightened to the correct torque value and that the tool is used safely. Before using a torque screwdriver or wrench, it is important to calibrate it properly. Calibration is the process of adjusting the tool so that it accurately measures and displays the amount of torque applied. Torque screwdrivers and wrenches should be calibrated regularly to ensure their accuracy. When tightening a fastener, it is important to apply the torque smoothly and evenly. Avoid jerking or over-tightening the fastener, as this can damage the fastener or the tool. After tightening a fastener, it is important to check the torque value to ensure that it is correct. This can be done using a separate torque tester or by simply retightening the fastener with the torque screwdriver or wrench. Torque screwdrivers and wrenches are valuable tools for ensuring that fasteners are tightened to the correct torque value. By following the manufacturer's instructions and calibrating the tools regularly, you can ensure that they are used safely and effectively. The accuracy of torque screwdrivers and wrenches can be affected by several factors, including temperature, humidity, and the age of the tool. To ensure accurate readings, it is important to store torque tools in a cool, dry place and to have them calibrated regularly. The cost of torque screwdrivers and wrenches can vary depending on the type of tool, the accuracy, and the features. In general, electronic torque tools are more expensive than mechanical torque tools. When choosing a torque screwdriver or wrench, it is important to consider the specific application and the required torque range. It is also important to choose a tool that is comfortable to use and that is easy to read. Torque screwdrivers and wrenches are used in a wide variety of industries, including automotive, aerospace, and manufacturing. These tools are essential for ensuring that fasteners are tightened to the correct torque value, which is critical for safety and performance. Over-tightening a fastener can damage the fastener or the components being assembled. Under-tightening a fastener can lead to loosening and failure. Torque screwdrivers and wrenches help to prevent both of these problems. The use of torque screwdrivers and wrenches is becoming increasingly common in the electrical industry. This is due to the increasing awareness of the importance of proper torquing for electrical connections. Loose electrical connections can lead to overheating, arcing, and fires. Torque screwdrivers and wrenches help to ensure that electrical connections are tight and secure. The National Electrical Code, NEC, specifies torque requirements for many electrical connections. Electricians should be familiar with the NEC requirements and should use torque screwdrivers and wrenches to ensure that electrical connections are tightened to the correct torque value. Regular inspections of electrical connections are important for identifying loose connections. If a loose connection is found, it should be tightened to the correct torque value using a torque screwdriver or wrench. Torque screwdrivers and wrenches are essential tools for electricians. By using these tools properly, electricians can ensure that electrical connections are tight, secure and safe.